The first thing that we should cover in this day in the life video is what specific role we're actually talking about here. The work of a CFP advisor in today's world is usually a little bit different from what brokers or financial advisors have been doing for the past 30 or 40 or 50 years. We are talking about a day in the life of someone who is a fiduciary financial planner and likely spends more time developing and implementing financial plans for families than selling financial products to them. Sure, there are still many financial sales jobs out there today, but most advisors who have earned the CFP letters are in positions that are more service-based. I've had the CFP for a little over a year now, and I've worked with others who have held it for a really long time. So here's some first-hand experience of what the average day of a CFP professional looks like. The common theme that you're going to hear throughout this video is client service. Almost everything you do as a CFP is going to be directly or indirectly related to servicing financial planning clients. Probably the most common form of servicing clients is either on the phone or via email. As a CFP, you are going to answer a lot of phone calls and respond to a lot of emails. This is a pretty fun task because typically clients will be reaching out to you with a certain question. That means that talking on the phone or emailing back and forth with them is an opportunity to share some information or offer financial advice, which is really what the job is all about. One example of this that I just dealt with in the past couple of days was a client who was purchasing a new property. We need to decide on what investment accounts to pull that money from, what specific positions to sell, and then to submit the wire transfer to get them those funds. Another recent one was a client who asked us if their personal power of attorney can also act on their behalf pertaining to their role as trustee of a certain trust. Now that's a really good question, and in this specific example, we didn't know the answer. So another guy on our team reached out to an estate planning attorney that we have a good relationship with to get the facts in this case and then relay those facts onto the client who asked the question of us. And then sometimes clients who are really friendly people might just give you a call to see how things are going. Now, the volume of these calls and emails can start to cause some stress. Shut the f*** up! But if you manage your time well and delegate responsibilities amongst members of your team, this should be one of the more enjoyable parts of your day. The next most common way that a CFP professional services his or her clients is through face-to-face client meetings. Just sitting down with them and talking about their financial plans, their investments, and maybe more importantly, other aspects of their life. A good financial advisor will seek to have an understanding of what really matters to their clients and what they want to be able to accomplish in life. Then, you structure much of the work you do and recommendations you make to those clients around the goals they set. Some of the specifics that can come up into these face-to-face meetings are changes in their finances since the last time you met, like maybe a new job or a new car payment. You could be recommending that they buy more insurance or get their estate plan done, and then providing education to them about why they should do those certain things. Another very important type of conversation that can surface in these meetings is around certain biases that the clients may have regarding certain investment strategies or investment product, or maybe fears that they have regarding certain financial decisions they'll have to make in their lives. There are a lot of psychological factors that go into how people make those types of decisions that you, as their CFP advisor, need to be able to understand. How many face-to-face meetings a CFP advisor does in a week will depend on the total amount of clients that they're servicing, but it can range from maybe 3 to 5 meetings on the low end to like 15 to 20 meetings on the high end. And this may sound surprising, but conducting these client meetings can be a really draining part of your day as a CFP. I don't know if it's because you're so intellectually but also socially engaged during these conversations or what exactly it is, but a handful of other advisors that I know will agree with me on this. If you ever hold like 3, 4, 5 client meetings back to back, when you walk out of your office afterwards, your head can feel like you just pulled an all-nighter studying and then just took the hardest test of your life. So even though you're not doing manual labor, it can be tiring from time to time. You should also know that picking specific investments for your clients often becomes a secondary part of your relationship with them. Especially if your office uses some managed model portfolios, or if you utilize a corporate-run portfolio with clients, you yourself are not going to be making all that many investment-specific decisions. And conceptually, this just makes sense because like 98% or something of a client's investment performance is decided by their asset allocation. So once you and your client have decided on the appropriate risk level and asset allocation that they want to invest at, the specific investment positions that their dollars get put in become less important. All of this isn't to say that you won't be discussing investments with clients. For some people, this is all they want to talk about when they come in. And if investments is your thing, that can be a really fun part of the job too. But just know that doing in-depth research into certain companies or building out valuation models is not something that you'll spend a significant amount of time on as a CFP. Another task that can take up a good amount of your day is processing and general paperwork. This can include things like opening new accounts, sending distributions out to the clients, or making rebalances of their portfolio. These are all extremely important things, and without this paperwork and these processing items being completed, you would not be able to service clients or have a financial planning business at all. But depending on the organizational structure within the office in which you work, you may not actually spend all that much of your own time doing these things. You could have dedicated paraplanners or staff members to do them. The next thing a CFP advisor could could spend a good amount of their time on is working within a financial planning software. This is an important one. I've heard veteran advisors say that being proficient with your financial planning software, especially when you're conducting a client meeting and showing someone up on a screen what type of information you have listed in their financial plan, is very important to A, looking like you know what you're doing to your clients, but also B, being an effective planner. And unlike paperwork and processing, even if you have a good support team working on your behalf, the financial planner almost always needs to know how to use the financial planning software, because things are just going to come up during meetings that you're going to have to reference that tool for. If you're someone who's hoping to get into the financial advice industry in the future, or if you're a college student just interested in learning up on some hot financial planning topics, becoming proficient at a financial planning software can be a very valuable skill. The most common ones are eMoney, Advisor, and Navaplan from AdviceSent. So a good tip might just be to watch some YouTube tutorials on how to use those things so that you could write a good summary letter or do well in an interview when talking about using those tools. And for the purposes of this day in the life conversation, I want to make a note about probably the most important aspect of a financial planning software, which is doing someone's retirement planning. A CFP advisor probably spends a bit of time on an average day working through various clients' retirement plans. Whether they're people who are hoping to retire out in the future and you're doing projections of their asset growth and net worth based on some expected return, but discounting the value of their future cash by the inflation rate, or they're clients who already are retired and maybe they've had some change in their financial picture that you need to analyze how that might affect their cash flows throughout retirement to make sure that they are still secured. I think from many clients' perspectives, having a solid retirement plan is the most important reason that they choose to work with a financial advisor. The next point is that some CFP advisors may spend a small amount of time on an average day working on their social media content or social media engagement. Personally, this isn't much of my own role because the office I work in has a few people dedicated only to our marketing and social media strategy. But if you're a CFP advisor working on your own, or maybe you're a small piece of a large corporation just solely managing a small book of business, then you probably are the one who has to run your own professional facing social media pages, and you could spend a bit of time doing that too. Next, we're going to talk about prospecting, and for those CFP advisors that are making the most money, they're probably the ones that are best at doing this. Most commonly, I think this is going to come from referrals from your existing clients and contacting the people that they mentioned to you, or just doing networking events in the area that you live. The firm I'm at utilizes a paid leads program where people on various websites will click links to ads that say find a local financial advisor and fill out some questions, and if it looks like a compatible match, then they will provide me with that person's information. Then I'll just give them a call and introduce myself and our firm and ask if they'd like to schedule a time to meet with us to review their finances and how we might help. There are some advisors out there who would tell you that their marketing strategy and contacting prospects are the things that they spend the most time thinking about and the most time working on. But again, I think the financial advisors that end up making the most money in their careers are the ones who are best at marketing and talking to new clients. The last thing we'll talk about is continuing education, and not just in a formal sense either. I'm going to consider reading articles and staying up on maybe some popular companies that a lot of your clients own stock in, watching financial markets, or listening to the Federal Reserve. All of these things are sort of education. And then of course there's also the formal continuing education, which is like going through learning modules to make sure you're up on all the new rules in the industry and to get all the credit hours you need to keep your CFP designation. Now there are also a ton of other little tasks that a CFP professional might do during a day, but I've tried to summarize here the ones that you'll actually spend the most time on as a CFP financial advisor. If you think I missed any other important ones, please feel free to leave that in a comment down below and I will get back to you. If you haven't already, liked this video and subscribed to the channel. Both of those things help me out very much and they would be appreciated. So as always, thanks for watching.